I never thought family could carve out your heart with a smile and a whispered lie. But that's exactly what mine did the night they decided I was too broken to shine. There I was, staring at my own reflection in the Gala's gilded mirror, lipstick smeared like war paint, when my phone buzzed with the video. My twin sister, Lila, gliding through the crowd in my dress, my necklace, stealing my spotlight, and the $10 million donation that could have saved everything I'd bled for. And the worst part? I let her. Because revenge isn't served cold, it's forged in the fire of letting them think they've won, right before you burn it all down. But here's the hook that still wakes me screaming. I didn't just get replaced, I covered up the family's dirtiest secret for years. Took the fall for Dad's embezzlement that nearly landed me in federal prison. All so they could keep their Hampton summers and private jets. They called me the embarrassment, the fragile one with the nerves, but Lila? She was the golden girl. The one who'd flip on a dime, smile through the schemes, and leave me holding the bag. Until that gala, when I decided payback meant playing their game better by making sure every donor saw her for the fraud she was, even if it meant dragging us all into the abyss. My name is Lily Harper, and if you grew up in the cutthroat cocktail circuit of Manhattan's elite, you'd know the Harpers aren't just old money. We're the kind that buys silence with a check and loyalty with a glare. Dad built his fortune on Wall Street, turning whispers into wire transfers. But it was Mom who polished us into the perfect accessories. Lila, the socialite siren with legs that could launch 1,000 startups. And me, the shadow sister, always a step behind, clutching my sketchbook like it was a shield. We were twins, mirror images down to the freckle on our left collarbone. But where Lila sparkled, I smoldered. They said it was my episodes, nights when the anxiety clawed at my throat like barbed wire, leaving me curled on the penthouse floor, whispering apologies to ghosts. Therapy? Sure. We had the best. Flown in from Zurich. But pills only dulled the edges. They never erased the truth I carried like a tumor. Dad's sins weren't just bad investments. They were felonies. And I'd been his unwilling accomplice since I was 16. It started with a stupid mistake, or, at least, that's what Dad called it when he pulled me into his study that humid August evening. The city skyline bleeding orange through the floor-to-ceiling windows. "Lilybug," he said. His voice that velvet rumble that closed deals over dry martinis. "We got a problem. A little accounting hiccup with the firm's offshore accounts. Nothing the IRS needs to know about." I was home from Parsons School of Design for the summer, still smelling like turpentine and unfulfilled dreams, when he slid the ledger across the desk. Numbers danced like accusations, millions siphoned into shell companies, funneled back as consulting fees, embezzlement, plain and simple. But Dad, he framed it as survival. The market's a shark tank. Kiddo. Eat or be eaten. I should have walked. Called the cops. The feds. Anyone. But he leaned in, eyes wet with that performative paternal sorrow, and murmured, "Think of your mother. The scandal would kill her. And Lila, she's got that internship at Vogue lined up. This stays in the family." Family. That word was our currency, heavier than gold. So I nodded, numb as he coached me through forging the backdated emails, the ones that made it look like I'd authorized the transfers as his junior analyst. By dawn, the evidence pointed straight at me. My IP address, my digital signature, my name on the dotted line. Lila knew. Of course, she breezed in with coffee from that overpriced spot in Soho, flashing her megawatt smile. "Sis, you're a hero. Daddy's so proud." But her eyes? They flicked to the ledger like, she was memorizing escape routes. For 2 years, I carried it. Whispers followed me through Parsons halls. Harper's the one who cooked the books. Daddy's little crook. Professors eyed me like damaged goods. Friends ghosted faster than a bad Tinder date. I dropped out, retreated to our family's Hudson Valley estate, sketching charcoal portraits of faces I'd never meet, faceless men in suits, women with smiles like knives. Mom dosed me with Xanax like candy, cooing about resting up for my big comeback. Lila, meanwhile, ascended. Runway shows in Milan, brunches with influencers who had more followers than sense. She was the face of Harper Holdings' rebrand, the one Dad paraded at fundraisers, while I rotted in the guest wing, piecing together a charity from scraps. Art for the Forgotten. I called it a non-profit auctioning my drawings to fund mental health clinics for kids like me, the ones Wall Street chewed up and spat out. It was my redemption, my middle finger to the machine. And the pinnacle? The annual gala at the plaza, where I pitched to donors for a $10 million seed, enough to launch 10 clinics nationwide. They shot it down the week before. Family dinner at Le Bernardine. Oysters glistening like lies on the half-shell. Dad swirled his scotch, avoiding my eyes. Lily, sweetheart, the board thinks, well, you're not quite ready for the spotlight. Nerves and all. We've got Lila stepping in. She's got the charm, the connections. Mom nodded, her Botox smile frozen. It's for the best, darling. You wouldn't want to embarrass yourself or us. Lila reached across the table, squeezing my hand with fingers that smelled like Chanel No. 5 and fresh betrayal. I'll do it justice, Lil. Promise. We'll split the credit. Split the credit? Like she hadn't already stolen my air, my light, my goddamn life. I laughed then, a jagged, ugly sound that echoed off the crystal. Embarrass you? After I took the fall for Dad's hiccup? After I let the world think I was the thief, so you could play debutante? Silence crashed down like a guillotine. Dad's face purpled. Mom's fork clattered. Lila's eyes narrowed. That flip switch calculating gleam. That was years ago, she hissed. Get over it. You're the one who signed. Signed. As if I hadn't done it for them. As if her hands weren't as dirty as mine. I stormed out into the November chill, hailed a cab to the plaza for a reconnaissance run. The ballroom was a fever dream of excess, velvet drapes in midnight blue, ice sculptures of endangered species mocking this save-the-world vibe. I'd spent months prepping slides on youth suicide stats, donor packets with my sketches as covers. Now, it was Lila's stage. I pictured her in the red Versace I'd tailored myself. The one that hugged curves we shared but she wielded like weapons. Rage boiled low. A slow simmer. Revenge wasn't a tantrum, it was a scalpel. And I knew just where to cut. The next days blurred into a haze of caffeine and conspiracy. I hacked into Lila's email, Child's Play, with our shared childhood password. Twins Forever 69, a joke from sleepovers that now tasted like bile. There was threads with Dad's lawyers, plotting not just the pitch, but a full handover. Lily's unstable. One read. Gala exposure could trigger her. Lila's the safe bet, plus she's got that investor from Dubai on the hook. Dubai. The same slimy prince Dad had wined and dined during the embezzlement days. The one who'd laundered funds through his casinos. They weren't just replacing me. They were erasing me, paving over my cracks with Lila's polish. But the real gut punch? Buried in attachments, medical records. My records.
Forged.
Dates backdated. Diagnoses inflated. Severe bipolar. Risk of public breakdown. They'd shopped it to the charity board, painting me as a liability. All to justify the swap. I printed it all, stuffed the folder into my vintage leather satchel, the one Mom called bohemian trash. Then I called in favors. First, Tommy, my ex from Parsons, now a stringer for page 6. Dig on Lila, I texted. The dirtier, the better. He owed me. I'd covered his coke-fueled meltdown sophomore year. Next, Elena, the therapist who'd slipped me off the pills and onto real talk. Hypothetically, I said over burner phone static, if someone wanted to expose family fraud without going full scorched earth. She laughed, dark and knowing. Hypothetically, start with the Gala. Make it personal. By Gala night, I was a ghost in my own skin. Black sheath dress from a thrift rack in Brooklyn. Hair pinned in a severe chignon. The folder tucked like a talisman. I slipped in through the service entrance, flashing a fake press badge, Tommy's handiwork. The air hummed with string quartets and small talk laced with stock tips. Tesla's dipping, but AI's the play. Donors milled like sharks in tuxes, tech bros from Silicon Valley transplants, hedge fund vultures circling the hors d'oeuvres. I hovered in the shadows, nursing a flute of Juve that tasted like vinegar, waiting for Lila's entrance. She arrived fashionably late, a vision in my red gown, the one I'd sewn sequins onto by hand during insomniac nights. The necklace, Grandma's heirloom sapphires, on loan for the pitch, dripped from her neck like stolen stars. Cameras flashed, applause rippled. Dad beamed from the podium, arm around her like she was his masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter Lila Harper, carrying the torch for art for the forgotten. Carrying the torch? She doused it in kerosene. I watched her work the room, that chameleon charm flipping from flirt to philanthropist. To the Dubai prince. She purred about synergies with his wellness retreats. To the tech widow. She teared up over my sister's vision, as if I were a saintly invalid. My vision. The words ignited something feral. I edged closer, pulse thundering, folder burning a hole in my palm. One whisper to the right ear, say, the silver-haired DA who'd lost his kid to untreated depression, and the whole Harper empire crumbled.
But no. Not yet.
Revenge needed theater. That's when I saw him, Victor Kane, the Gala's wild card donor. Mid-40s, salt and pepper beard, eyes like a man who'd bet against the house and won. He ran Kane Philanthropy, a no-BS outfit that funneled billions into underdogs, clinics, scholarships, the gritty stuff. I'd cold emailed him months back. He'd replied with a maybe.
Now.
He stood alone by the bar, nursing bourbon, watching Lila like a hawk spotting a limp. Opportunity or trap? I didn't care. I sauntered over, heels clicking like countdowns. Mr. Kane? Lily Harper. The real Harper behind the circus. His gaze sharpened, appraising. Heard you were. Indisposed. Code for crazy. I slid onto the stool beside him, voice low. Family politics. They think I'm the loose cannon.
But you?
You strike me as a man who values truth over polish. I tapped the folder lightly. Care for a peek? He didn't flinch. Make it quick. I've got a pitch in 5. I flipped it open. The forged emails. The medical lies. Dad's wire trails looping back to Dubai. Victor's jaw tightened, but his eyes, they lit with something dangerous recognition. Kane, he said finally, doesn't do proxies. If this is legit,
We talk.
after her speech, the one stealing my thunder. As Lila took the stage, spotlights haloing her like a false prophet, I felt the room tilt. She spoke in honeyed cadences, weaving my stats into her narrative. My sister Lily's passion birthed this dream, lies wrapped in half-truths. The crowd ate it up, checks rustled like applause. Victor leaned in. She's good. Too good. Too good? Or just practiced? I glimpsed Dad in the wings, nodding approval, and the simmer boiled over. Time to flip the script. Lila's voice soared through the ballroom, a siren's call laced with my stolen words. Imagine clinics in every shadow of the city, places where kids like my sister can find light amid the dark. The audience leaned in, mesmerized. Forks paused midair over seared foie gras. She was electric, gesturing with hands that could have been mine, but hers moved like they owned the air. Victor Kane shifted beside me, his bourbon untouched now, fingers drumming a silent rhythm on the bar. Poetic, he muttered. But poetry doesn't fund $10 million.
No.
It didn't. But exposure did, and I was about to douse her in gasoline. As she rapped, basking in thunderous claps, I slipped the folder's key page into Victor's hand, a screenshot of Dad's email to her. Dated yesterday. Tell the board Lily's pitching is off. Use the psych eval. Kane's the big fish. Reel him with the Dubai angle. Victor's face hardened to granite. Dubai? As in Prince Al Mansour. I nodded, throat tight. The same one who invested in Harper Holdings during the hiccup. The words soured on my tongue. He pocketed it without a word, eyes tracking Lila as she descended the stage, donors swarming like bees to nectar. I should have felt triumph, that first sting of payback. But watching her, our shared cheekbones flushed with victory, lashes batting like butterfly knives, nausea twisted my gut. We were venom and antidote. Lila and I, fused in the womb but fractured by crib-side favoritism. Mom always said Lila cried louder, smiled first. I was the quiet one, the observer. By 10, she'd mastered the art of the pivot, butter one teacher, bully another, always emerging unscathed.
Me?
I absorbed the blows, sketched the fallout. Like the time she borrowed my science project, a diorama of the Amazon, complete with hand-painted jaguars, and presented it as hers. Netting the A+ while I got detention for plagiarism. Dad laughed it off over steak tartare at Peter Luger. Sisters share. Lily. Lighten up.
Share.
That's what they called it when she dated my crushes. Wore my clothes to rags. Then blamed the stains on my clumsiness. But the embezzlement? That was the fracture line. The quake that split us irreparably. I'd confessed to Elena in session 3. I did it for them. But mostly for her. Lila was supposed to go to Yale. I was the safety school kid. If Dad went down, her Ivy dreams died. Elena had arched a brow, her Brooklyn accent cutting through the fluff. And yours? What about the girl who wanted to paint the world? Not forge it. I didn't have an answer then.
Now.
With Victor's gaze boring into me like a lie detector, I wondered if I'd ever reclaim that girl. Harper, he said, voice a low growl. You got balls walking in here. But this, he tapped his pocket, it's dynamite. You sure you want to light the fuse? Sure? Hell. I was terrified. One wrong move, and I'd be the villain. Unhinged twin torches family legacy. But the alternative? Letting them polish their crowns on my grave?
No.
Light it, I whispered.
Just.
Make it count. He nodded, vanishing into the crowd like smoke. I nursed my champagne, scanning for exits, alibis. That's when Tommy texted, "Page 6 gold. Lila's been consulting with Daddy's Dubai pal, yacht pics, NDAs. Dropping a non-tip to TMZ in 10. My stomach flipped. Too soon? Or perfect chaos? Before I could reply, Lila materialized, champagne flute in hand, her smile a razor wire hug. Lil, you came. I knew you would. She air-kissed my cheeks, sapphire necklace swinging like a hypnotist's chain. Up close, the dress hung looser on her, our bodies synced once. But stress had whittled me down, while her gym sessions in the family Pilates studio kept her sculpted. Wouldn't miss my own funeral, I quipped, voice steady as a surgeon's hand. Her laugh tinkled, forced, eyes darting to the donors circling us. Drama queen. Look. The pitch landed. Victor Kane's interested, huge, interested. In her web. I sipped, letting the bubbles bite. Congrats. You nailed the fragile sister bit. Almost made me cry. Her facade cracked. Just a hair, nostrils flaring. Grip tightening on her glass. What do you want? Lily? Absolution?
Fine.
You're welcome. Welcome. As if she'd gifted me the betrayal. I leaned in, breath ghosting her ear. I want you to choke on it. Every lie, every stolen breath. She recoiled, color draining. You're drunk. Or off your meds. Classic flip, deny, deflect,
Destroy.
But before she could summon Dad's security goons, Victor reappeared, his arm brushing mine like an anchor. MS. Harper, Lila.
Was it?
A word. His tone was cordial. But the undercurrent?
Tsunami.
Lila's eyes widened, flicking between us, calculation sparking. Of course. Lily. Join us. Trap laid. We migrated to a velvet alcove, away from the jazz trio's wail. Victor wasted no words. Your pitch was compelling. The clinic's innovative. But transparency's my line in the sand. He produced the page, holding it like Exhibit A. Lila's face went sheet white, then flushed crimson.
What?
Where did you get that? Victor's smile was wolfish. Ghosts in the machine. Care to explain why your consulting overlaps with your father's? Indiscretions? Indiscretions. The room spun, murmurs from nearby clusters sharpened, sharks scenting blood. Lila recovered like a pro, lashes fluttering. This is a misunderstanding. Lily's projecting. She's had episodes.
You see.
Family stress. Projecting. The word hit like a slap.
Me?
The crazy one? After she'd begged me, post-embezzlement, to keep quiet for us, I stepped forward, voice ablade. Projecting? Like how you projected Dad's crimes onto me. Forged my signature while you jetted to Ibiza. Gasps rippled. A phone slipped out. Recording. Lila whirled on me. Eyes feral. You bitch. After everything, I covered for you your breakdowns. Your dropout shame, covered? She'd amplified it. Feeding Mom the pills. Dad the doubts. Victor held up a hand, silencing the storm. Ladies. Let's cut the soap opera. Yes. Lily Harper, the founder, pitched me directly. Her work's authentic. Yours? Tainted. Tainted. The word hung, heavy as the necklace, now clawing at Lila's throat. She clawed back, voice shrill. She's lying. Check her records. She's unstable. Unstable. The lie I'd let fester. But Victor? He pulled up his phone. Elena's affidavit glowing on screen. Patient stable. No bipolar diagnosis. Records manipulated. Courtesy of my pre-Gala SOS. The alcove erupted, donors peeling away, whispers exploding into a frenzy. Dad barreled in, face a thundercloud. What the hell's going on? Victor turned, cool as cryogenic steel. Your empire's built on sand, Mr. Harper. And I'm pulling the plug. He nodded to me your move and strode out, leaving the folder splayed like a gutted fish. Lila lunged for it. I snatched it first, pages scattering like confetti from hell. You wanted the spotlight? Here's your close-up. Chaos bloomed. Phones buzzed, TMZ alert. Harper heiress in yacht scandal with shady chic. Lila's scream pierced the din. You did this. You ruined us. Ruined? We'd been rotting since the ledger. Dad grabbed my arm. Vice tight. Get out.
Now.
But I twisted free, meeting his eyes, mirrors of my own.
Cracked. No. Dad.
You get out. Of my story. Mom hovered. Tears artfully smudged. Lily.
Please.
Family. Family. The curse. Security loomed. But the crowd parted, not for them, but for the real show, Lila. Necklace snapping under her frantic yank. Sapphires scattering across marble like fallen stars. She collapsed to her knees, sobs heaving, the red gown pooling like bloodless sacrifice. Pity swelled in me. Unwanted. Unbidden. Was this victory? Or just the first fracture in the mirror? I backed away, heart hammering, into the night air thick with exhaust and regret. Tommy's car idled curbside. Holy shit.
Lil.
You went nuclear. Nuclear.
Yes.
But as sirens wailed distant, cops, feds, paparazzi, I wondered if the fallout would bury me too. Victor's text pinged. Clinics funded. $12 million. Your name only. Welcome to the fight. Elation surged. Bittersweet. I'd won the war. But the battlefield? Strewn with kin. Yet sleep evaded that night in my walk-up off Houston. Sketches mocking from the walls. Lila's face bled into mine. Betrayer and betrayed. Inseparable. Dawn broke gray. Headline screaming, Harper twins Gala meltdown. Fraud or family feud. I brewed coffee strong as resolve. Dialing Elena. What now? Her laugh. Warm as Jersey diner pie. Now? You rebuild. On your terms. Terms. For the first time, they felt like mine. But noon brought the twist. A voicemail. Lila's voice. Shattered glass.
Lily.
It wasn't just Dad. I knew about the ledger before you signed. Pushed him to use you, said you'd never crack.
I'm sorry.
Come home.
Sorry.
The word dangled. Hook sharp. Trap? Or olive branch? I deleted it. But doubt wormed in. Revenge's aftertaste? Ash and what-ifs. Weeks blurred into a whirlwind of vindication and voids. Victor's wire hit my nonprofit's account like manna, $12 million. earmarked for clinics in the Bronx, Queens, even a pilot in Detroit's Rust Belt shadows. Groundbreakings followed, hard hats on kids who'd once eyed me like a cautionary tale, now beaming as they unveiled murals painted from my blueprints. Page 6 dubbed me the Phoenix Heiress, a moniker that chafed. Phoenixes rise from ashes. Sure, but mine were laced with family bone. Elena called it post-traumatic growth, her sessions now victory laps laced with cautions. Don't let the wind rewrite the wound.
Lil.
Heal it. Healing? In Manhattan? That's like finding parking during Fashion Week. Mythical. I moved back to the Hudson Valley estate. Not as the prodigal screw-up, but conqueror. Mom had decamped to Palm Beach. For my health, leaving voicemails stiff as starched linens. We're proud. Darling. Water under the bridge.
Proud.
After she'd dosed me into docility, I forwarded them to my lawyer, a pitbull named Rosa from Brooklyn Legal Aid, prepping for the inevitable countersuit. Dad? Radio silence. Holed up in his midtown bunker. Lawyers circling like vultures. Rumors swirled. SEC probe. Dubai extradition whispers.
Good.
Let the sharks feast. Lila was the ghost haunting the halls. Post-Gala. She'd vanished, checked into some discreet Swiss clinic. Exhaustion, per the spin. But her absence echoed. Empty closets in her suite. Half-empty wine bottles on the terrace. A single sketch I'd left behind. Our faces intertwined. Thorns for hair. I'd drawn it during the ledger nights. A warning or wish. I couldn't decide.
Now.
It mocked from the mantel. Accusing. The invite arrived mid-December. Gold-embossed irony. Harper family holiday soiree, reconciliation and renewal. Hand-delivered by a sheepish butler. Reginald, who'd slipped me Xanax refills back when Miss Lila insisted.
Mom.
Says it's time.
Time.
For what? Absolution tour? Or ambush? Rosa advised shredding it. Snakes don't reform, they shed. But Victor's words nagged. The fight's not solo, and Elena's. Closure's a choice. Not a cage. Closure. The word tasted like surrender. I RSVP'd yes. Packing the satchel with addendums, fresh printouts of Lila's Dubai ledgers. Cross-referenced with Dad's. Insurance. The soiree sprawled across the estate like a bad dream in tinsel, twinkling lights strung through bare oaks. Caterers in penguin suits ferrying crab puffs and caviar bumps. Guests? The B-list survivors. Old money widows who dodged the scandal. Tech upstarts sniffing bargains in our fall. No press. Thank God, just the clink of crystal and careful chatter. Such a shame about the gala. But Lily's clinics? Game changer. Game changer. I wore black velvet. Understated power. Hair loose like a cascade of secrets. Reginald nodded approval as I entered. You look fierce. Miss Lily. Fierce? Or fragile? The foyer mirror reflected both. Cheekbones sharper. Eyes storm gray. Lila waited in the library. Fire crackling like accusations. She rose from the leather armchair. Thinner. Shadows under eyes that matched mine. No red gown, just cashmere sweater. Jeans. The sapphire necklace rests strung on a chain. Innocent now.
Lil.
One word. Cracked porcelain. I halted. Air thickening. Don't. Save the sister act. She flinched but held ground, gesturing to the decanter. Bourbon? Dad's vintage. Tempting. But I waved it off, sinking into the opposite chair. The fire popped, silence stretched like a noose. Finally, I meant it. The voicemail. It wasn't just Dad, I orchestrated it. The ledger.
The push.
Thought you'd fold easy. Take the heat. Orchestrated. The admission landed like a gut punch. Stealing breath. Why? My voice. Whisper rasp. She stared into flames.
Fear.
You were always the real one, the artist.
The soul.
I was the echo. If you shone, I'd fade.
Fade.
From golden girl to ghost? Bullshit. Or breakthrough. Lies layered her like varnish. But crack showed. Trembling hands. Averted gaze. The Gala. I didn't want to steal it. Dad insisted, said your instability would tank us. But I knew the records were fake. I signed off. Signed off. Echo of my own sin. Rage flared. But pity doused it, twins. Tethered in toxicity. And Dubai? The yacht romps while I rotted. Her laugh. Bitter chicory. Camouflage. Prince Almansor? Dad's patsy. I fed him lines to keep the funds flowing, your clinics included. Irony. Right? Irony? Or indictment? I unzipped the satchel. Spilling addendums across the rug. Wire diagrams linking her consults to fresh shells. This says otherwise. $2 million to your personal offshore. Post-Gala. Her eyes widened. Genuine shock. Or Oscar-worthy. She snatched a page.
Scanning. This. No.
That's not. A knock interrupted. Dad. Spectral in tweed. Bourbon flush on his jowls. Girls. Enough cloak and dagger. His gaze swept the papers. Face crumpling. Lily. Whatever she's told you.
Truth.
For once. I snapped. Rising. You pitted us against each other. Used me as your fall guy. Her as your facade.
And now?
The feds are circling.
Dad.
Victor Kane's not the only one who talks. He sagged against the mantel. Years etching deeper. I did it for us. The empire for you girls.
For us.
The oldest lie. Lila stood. Voice steel.
No.
Daddy. For you. Always. The room fractured then. Accusations flying like shrapnel. Dad's defense. Sacrifices build legacies. Lila's retort. Yours nearly broke us. Mine. The quiet thunder. It did. Somewhere in the melee. Clarity struck. No villains. Just victims in velvet chains. We were all complicit, me in silence. Lila in schemes. Dad in denial. The fire died to embers. So did the fight. Dawn found us on the terrace. Bundled in blankets. Coffee steaming against frost. Lila beside me. Necklace glinting. Hers now. Untainted. What if? We start over? The clinic's co-founders. Co-founders. The word dangled. Bridge or bait. Dad slunk inside hours earlier. Muttering of lawyers. But his eyes? Begging forgiveness. I waited. Torch the bridges. Or rebuild. Revenge's climax wasn't destruction. It was dissection. Laying bare the rot. Choosing graft over grave. In the end, I handed Lila a sketch fresh. Us as phoenixes. Wings intertwined. Thorns traded for leaves. Maybe it was mercy. The twist? As sirens wailed. Feds at the gate. Cuffs for Dad. Lila squeezed my hand, whispering, I took the fall this time. Signed the confession. Your name's clean.
Clean.
But was it? Debate raged in headlines. Heroic heiress or accomplice. Twins packed seals Harper fate. Happy ending? Or by karma? Readers picked sides, me the martyr, her the manipulator. Truth? We're both. And, in the gray, we're eyes. The first clinic ribbon cut on a crisp April morn. Lila at my side. Cameras mercifully kind. Mom watched from afar.
Thawing.
Dad? Community service in a soup kitchen. Trading suits for aprons. Redemption's no fairy tale, it's grind. Laced with if-onlys. But as kids streamed in, eyes bright with unscarred hope, I felt it, not victory, but vestige. The Harpers, fractured but forging. And me, Lily Harper, no longer shadow. Just light, flickering fierce.